Virtual reality is one of those topics that is sure to grab headlines at every advancement it gets. It's as well ingrained into the collective human vision of the future as things like flying cars or chores automation. However, with every sexy headline-grabbing technology comes a host of opposing parties that make a living out of being opposed to said technology. VR is this, VR is that, VR will change your life, VR will give you headaches, VR will ruin your eyesight, which by the way it doesn't, it's better for your eyes than looking at your computer screen. So as I do often in this channel, I thought I'd dissect this subject without the hype lens and see what's in it for us. Now, most human activities can either be classified as work activities or leisure activities. When it comes to leisure activities, a lot of the attraction for VR comes from the novelty of the VR experience. Wow, you can look at all kinds of different directions. You're no longer forced to use some clunky joystick controls to see where you want to see. How about this short movie that can be viewed in VR? Or the socializing experience that takes place in a VR-compatible virtual world. But once that novelty wears off, you realize that for most activities that you could already do without VR, you'd rather just keep the headsets out of it. A lot of times, VR functionalities feel just like 3D functionalities that are pushed out in cycles every about 20 years. You hear about how it's going to be so great and so immersive it will forever change the way you consume your entertainment. And then nobody cares enough to bother with the extra equipment needed, an extra cost requirement to get the extra immersiveness, because after all, the current setup is chugging along just fine. But wait, this is a VR in the workplace video. Why am I talking about leisure activities? Well, there's a clear distinction between how you spend your time at work and how you choose to spend your time outside of work. If you're not at the decision-making level at your company, and your company decides tomorrow to drop their whole IT fleet for a brand new VR setup, you'll probably just accept it because you need to be pragmatic about your job as it enables your current lifestyle. Or if you're in a position to do so, you'll look into switching jobs if you really don't feel like working in 3D. But when it comes to leisure activities, the choice is entirely yours. The product has to be good, and in fact, probably 10 times better than your current setup for you to drop what you have and make the switch. So if you want to examine the potential positive changes of VR, we should probably start with the leisure space first. So, does VR make your current entertainment 10 times more enjoyable? Will VR's improvements on your current form of leisure make you switch? Probably not. Personally, I'd rather watch a movie on a 2D screen, because the screen's limitation can also be a form of expression. If I wanted to just socialize, then I'd rather hit up friends and be out of my room than slap my headset on and hang out in some virtual lobby. However, in my opinion, that's not what VR is for. VR's strongest pro is not that it transforms current entertainment and makes it, let's say, arguably 10% better or worse. VR's strongest suit is how it'll allow us to enjoy new forms of entertainment, or, and that's even better, unlock simulated forms of entertainment for the people who do not have access to the real thing. Consider this use case. You're into motorsports. However, motorsports isn't into you, it's into your wallet. So instead of venturing out to spend copious amounts of money on your race car, fuel, tires, repairs, track sessions, mechanic, etc., you could just get yourself a good computer, a VR headset, and a decent force feedback wheel, and have 90% of the fun and 0% of the pain that comes with motorsport. This example talks about motorsport, but you can also imagine this just as well for team shooting sports, for example, with one of those 360 degrees treadmills. And consider this other use case. You would like to socialize with a certain group of people that you share something with. It can be a hobby, your country of origin, a language, a culture, whatever that is. However, in your current geographic location, you just can't find somebody to share that with. Or the quality of exchanges that you did have in real life just didn't match what you were expecting. So instead of limiting yourself to your geographic area, all you need to do is find an online group or forum you fit in, join their VR chat, and have natural flowing conversations and events with some of the most interesting people you ever meet. This is how, personally, I was convinced of the power of VR. VR isn't here to change how we do things that we already can do. VR is here to unlock new ways of doing things. But what about the workplace? Is there really an advantage of implementing VR into our workflows? What could we possibly be missing out on? I see a lot of promotional videos about how VR will change, for example, brainstorming, or how VR will change data visualization, and many other use cases that aim for a 10% improvement on a task we can do just fine with current tools. And that's great and all, but I really don't know if these small 10% improvements will ever justify the cost of change, both in money and more importantly in habits and fighting the change resistance. However, there's one argument for VR that I think applies to 99% of knowledge workers out there. VR will make remote work more realistic for 99% of knowledge workers. And that's because it'll provide solutions to most, if not all, problems we currently have with working remotely. We live today in an age where 97% of employees don't want to return to the office full time. Everybody expects at least some time out of the office, working remotely. Yet, many proponents of working on site always bring back the following points where remote work falls short. First, we have the quick improvised meetings in the open space that can no longer happen because you're no longer in the open space. And this arguably can be replaced with Slack, but as a guy who turns off every instant messaging notification as soon as I get to work, I get how the improvised meetings are better. Secondly, remote work kills the off-the-cuff water tank conversations that create a friendly atmosphere in the office. And thirdly, the integration process for new hires can be very complicated when it's done remotely. And now, if you're a bit into VR and what Meta has been doing for the past couple of years, you can see where I'm going with this. All of these problems can be solved with a virtual office. You can just look at everything Meta has been doing in the past couple of years. By creating a virtual office with virtual employee layouts and having meetings which allow real-life-like features such as seating positions, side conversations that are not heard by people further away, physical location in a virtual office. You've probably watched the teasers already, and both Meta and Microsoft are slowly implementing these changes in their workflow. If you're interested in how they tackle the challenges mentioned above, I recommend you listen to the Zuck's podcast appearance on Lex Friedman or Tim Ferriss. But the point is, these remote work challenges can be and are already solved in VR. Most of knowledge workers can now work remotely 99% of the time, without necessarily losing out on company culture and serendipitous interactions. If done right, VR will make remote work so easy and obstacle-free that it'll make any other form of work feel dated, and slowly but surely any company that has not adopted these work ways will feel like it belongs to the 20th century. So yes, VR can unlock a whole new world of remote work. But now the real question is, why do we care so much about remote work? We care about remote work because people want to work remotely. Offering remote work on the job market right now is almost as good as offering a higher salary. In fact, for many people, not offering remote work is becoming a red flag. So the companies that adopt remote work will also use these new technologies will be able to attract better talent and become more competitive without losing out to the classic remote work drawbacks that we mentioned above. But also, companies that adopt these technologies will be able to enlarge their talent pool. They won't have to settle for their geographic region. They can pick top talents from Seattle all the way to Singapore and still have an engaging integration process and a strong company culture. VR will change the workplace because it will supercharge remote work. VR will change the workplace because remote work will change the workplace.